Alright, good day everyone. Welcome to part 17 of the Dart series, Dart from Scratch for beginners that we're actually learning. In this video, we'll be talking about control flow, and sometimes some people call it control structure. You are still referring to the same thing. And what is actually control flow? Control flow is just a program, although I've made mention on it in one of our video. If you watch my series from the beginning, you see that some of the term or some of the thing we'll be learning along the way, we could have used it indirectly or we could have mentioned it briefly for us in the previous learning, in the previous video. But nevertheless, we still need to touch it and make sure that we learn it in a broad way. That's why we're actually coming into this now also, just like we did for deeper learning that we learned about string. Now this is control flow or control structure. All right, control flow is actually when you write a program that can make decision. Yes, we'll be writing program that is not making decision, although we are actually checking some condition. Before you make a decision, there will be condition. Yeah, there's always a condition so that you can make the decision, either the right decision or the wrong decision. Definitely either the true or the false decision. We've talked about conditional operator, we've talked about logical operator. Yeah, those things will actually be coming in. You start saying them when we start writing the code. Those things will start coming into this particular learning, which we are terming as the control flow. This is whereby your program can make decisions. Should I eat or not? Should I sleep or not? Should it process it or not? What age is this? Is he a Gen Z? Is he a adolescent? Is he millennial? Any kind of check, you check and you'll be able to confirm the kind of condition and the decision you want the confirmation to be in a particular condition. Let me just put it that way. All right, I hope that is a little bit clearer, not to waste much of our time. Let's just get right into it. Then when you're talking about control flow, there are some things you'll be learning. Most of the code we'll be writing from the beginning of this series are just straightforward code. Like everything is just, our code run from top to bottom. Everything is just coming straight down, no condition checking, nothing. We are just assigning variable, we are just computing, which is we apply some arithmetic and logical operation on it and we print. But now we need to make a decision. All right, let's just create a file and let's jump right into it. And okay, I've opened my terminal. Then let's create a file inside our bin folder. And first thing we'll be learning in this video is what we call selection statements. Yeah, selection statements, whereby we have single selection, we have multiple selection, and we have nested selection. We have so many selection, but let's just put it in case, I don't know, it might change. We might create more files and we might actually use one file to the end of this video, but let's just create one and call it selection statement. Now what the selection statement actually do is the one that give the ability to be able to select the right choice. Yes, that's why we call it selection statement. All right, we have selection statement, which we will now be saying those statements one after the other. Statement dot that. All right, then we have our void. Definitely we always do that. That's the function, because that is a functional programming language. All right, this is going to take a little bit of seconds to propagate. That's why you are saying this error is not actually error. Everything is actually fine. Okay, and now the first selection statement we'll be talking about. Selection statement, the first one will be single selection. We have single selection, and the single selection is the one refers to as if statements. Yeah, probably you might have seen it somewhere before, or you might have had it before. Yeah, single statement is you only just have one option. Yeah, it is an option, but it is that one. The second, every other option, like every other option, we don't care about it. We only have one most of the time. All right, let's say for example, we want to have a check on an age. We want to have a check on an age. Let's say for example, the person is okay, like me now. I can just say Abdul age, or just age. Don't let me make it personal. All right, age is 20. All right, we've learned all this. I don't like to be going back every time. We've learned all this. Let me just assume we understand what we've been learning since the beginning of this series. And if you have not watched my video and you're just jamming this video for the first time, if you didn't understand any of this, we've learned it in the beginning of this series. Just watch the series from the beginning to this stage and you'll be able to understand everything that we actually type in. We declare a variable, we declare a data type, and we declare a variable and we assign 20 to it. That's what we just did now. And we want to check if this person is actually an adult. The age of an adult started from 18 and above. That's when we say you're an adult. Yes, 18 and above, and that is where the if statement comes in. You can see now I write if we want to make a check on the age. Probably we have student data and we are trying to check their age one after the other to know if they are, or we have staff data, or we have we can have different data, even with applicant data when you're applying for a job, any kind of thing whereby we want to check the age, if the person is an adult or not, to be able to know if even some kind of platform, even YouTube will ask you, are you over 18, so that they will know if you are allowed to go through the content on YouTube, or they will redirect you to the YouTube Kid. All right, okay, we cannot check the age, and we want to check if the person is 18 or and above. We don't really care. We cannot be saying if the person is really equals to 18. We have double equals to, we check if really is equals to. Do you get? We have that, which we cannot be saying if the person is really equals to 18, if the person is really equals to 19, if the person is, how many check do we want to do? Which that doesn't really make sense, and that is where if actually is useful. We are trying to do a single check. That is it. We really don't care about what other age. We just want to know you are above 18. Do you get to know that okay, you are an adult? That is what we are trying to do. I can see we know your age. We have the age here stored in a variable temporarily when the program is running, and we have the check here that says if the age is greater than 18, is greater than or equals to 18, then the person can have access to this platform. Do you get that kind of thing? That is it. In this case, we don't really have so many operations that we can do. We can see that we are just using print statement most of the cases, just to be able to know that the code is working, is getting to where it's supposed to get to, is running to the stage we actually want it to run to. That is why we are using print statement. If we have other things we want to compute, definitely we need to put it inside this code. Maybe you can just say print allow. We want to allow you. Okay, we can say print you are an adult. You are allowed on this platform. Do you get that kind of things? Actually, that is it. That's what if statement does. It's not more than this. We can just test and see if it actually work. All right, and we can just do our darts. Definitely, we have darts run, and the file is inside the bin folder. We type bin first / then selection _ statement. .dat. Actually, we are running the dat file, and something is wrong. Okay, this statement is not correct. It's saying the file is not found. All right, let's run one more time. All right, this is correct. Now we can clear just to be able to have a very clear view. All right, you can see that it printed now that you are an adult, you are allowed on this platform. Very simple. And if the age now is something like 17, do you get, which means this is not going to do anything actually, because we are only checking for if it is greater than or equals to. Let's run. Have I saved? Yes, I've saved. And let's run, and you can see that it doesn't print anything because we don't check for every other thing. What of if it is less than? Do you get it? What of if it is less than? That is where another statement, another if statement actually comes in. We call it if else statement, which is a binary selection. When you are talking about binary, it is 2, base 2 actually. You get binary selection statement, which is if else statement. Yeah, if else statement, that is where if else statement actually comes in, whereby we can now have, if the person is not, then we can now have, let's leave this to be true. Okay. Sorry, we can have 20, we can have the same 20 here for now. Then we can now have a binary statement that says if age is greater than or equals to 18. Okay, we can copy just to be lazy, and okay. All right, then else will now come in this case and says print you are a child. Let's just put it that way, a child, or you're a kid. We don't care anything below 18. We don't just care about it. We just want to make sure that you don't have access to it. So far you are below 18, you're a kid, you are not, you can do the same thing, you are not allowed on this platform. All right, it's just as simple as that. All right, we can clear our terminal just to have a fresh results, fresh output. You can see you are allowed on this platform because it's running this first one and it's run this also, which is the same first check in the two places. Let's now say this is 17. Now definitely you see that we are going to have one result, which is you are a kid, you are not allowed on this platform. Simple, because it is not true. Anything below 18, you are not allowed on this platform. That's about that. All right, there's one thing that is not actually allowed on this statement. You cannot say if age only. You cannot do this kind of check. It's going to throw error. Yeah, in some language it is allowed. In PHP, for example, now it is allowed, where I can just say this is just checking if something is inside it. That is just it. If something is inside it, so far it's not is error, it's not false. If something is inside the variable, definitely it will, this is fine by it. But so far we are in that do not allow this kind of thing. Once it is integer, is not allowed. You just have to equate it to something. You have to check it against something. That is it. All right, I'm just pointing that out so that you'll be able to note it down. All right, next on the list is the if else statement, that is a multiple selection statement because it has multiple options. That's why we call it a multiple selection statement. Actually, we have multiple selection statement, which is if else statement. Let me change it for you. This is if, then we have else if, then we have else statement, which is like this. Also we have this if else statement. This is if statement. All right, fantastic. Okay, let's quickly see this also. This is whereby you have multiple check, possible check. Do you get? Whereby we have some more range to check than this. Actually, let me lower this terminal so that we have more space to type our code. All right, let's see how it works. Actually, if statement, we can have yeah, we can check this age also. You know, date age has different range. We have age of 1 to 3, which is a child, 3 to 7, I don't know, those kind of things, but I really can't remember. But the one I can remember in my head now is, let's check for score. Actually, let's say for example a student score, overall score on his or her exam is 72, for example. Let's say int. Okay, and we can even do double. Actually, if we say double what, double score, let's say overall score equals yeah, let's say 72, for example. Then we want to check this overall score if is at a particular range. We'll be able to assign, you know, we have grade in school, we have A, we have grade A, we have B, we have C, we have F9. Do you get all those kind? We have D also. Do you get? Even I think we have E also. I don't know, but depends on the country you're watching the video from. But I know we have A to C, and we have F actually, which is fail. All right, we can now do that kind of check with this. That's where this kind of if statement is useful, whereby you can have if overall score is greater than or equals to 90, then this person has scored highest mark. Anyone that scored 90 and above, the person is in grade A. Then you can print grade A. Then we now have if else if statements. That's why we call it multiple. You have multiple option to select one out of the multiple option. This one you don't have more than 2 options. This one you don't have more than 1 option. Are you getting it? Now this way you have as much as possible. You can define as much as possible. Then we can have overall score again is greater than or equals to 80. When you score 80, we say you are in grade B. Print grade B. All right, we have this also. Again, we have overall score is greater than or equals to 70. Then this person is in grade C. Print grade C. Grade C. Then we can have more actually. If the person scores 60 is not a bad mark. Actually 60 and above is not a bad mark. Grade C. Let's do else if also ABC. Else if overall score is greater than or equals to 60, then we can say the person is in grade D. Print grade D or E. we can see D, we can have D, and let's have one more. You can have as much as possible, but there's disadvantage in this actually. All right, we have overall score is greater than or equals to 50. If you have 50, you didn't fail actually. You are above average, and that person's score prints grade key. Then anything below, once you score below 50, then you are no more what do you call it, that's fail. Actually anything below is just fail. All right, we have else. That's the last check. Else, anything else, we don't, remember we talk about it not quite long. Anything else, we don't really care, it is fail. Else grade F, and that does it. Fantastic. All right, let's quickly print this and see how it is. Let me move this up a little bit. All right, we can clear and we can run. All right, you can see fantastic. Okay, that's other code is there, that's why you can see. But you can see the person scored C because the person is in 70 and above. It is C. You can see C. That is it. That's how this actually works. Not to waste much of our time, I think this is where we are going to stop on this video. In the next video we'll be talking about nested if statement and I think switch and the likes. All right, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment if you have any question concerning any of my video, even anything outside this particular video. You can still ask in the comment section. I'm going to pick it up and make a video about it, or if it's something I can just type on the comment and reply you, I'm going to reply you on the text. Thank you and God bless.